credit cards, our best friend or our worst enemy. Who have not had credit card debt? If you haven't, you're a lucky one, my friend. But if you do and you want to know how to pay it off and stay out of debt, keep watching. Welcome to the Financial Talk, your safe place to talk money. My name is Natalie, and today I'm going to talk about how to pay off credit card, and the most important thing is staying out of debt. Today I'm going to have a special guest and we will be discussing about this topic. So please keep watching. I'm going to give you a couple of steps that will help you to pay off credit card debt. The first step is to understand your debt. Realize for how long have you been holding this debt. Has it been 3 months, 6 months, a year? Your current balance. Do you owe 500, 1,000, 10,000? Your interest rate. Are you paying 15%, 19%, 21%? And your minimum balance. This will help you with the second step, which is setting up SMART goals. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. If you have a goal, for example, paying off my 10,000 credit card debt in 3 months, do you think this goal is realistic? The time frame is good? Probably not. A SMART goal will be something like this. The third step is to track your expenses and start budgeting. You have to realize your spending pattern and reduce unnecessary areas. So for example, if you are spending $200 a month eating out, then you can say, okay, this month I'm not gonna eat out that much, just gonna budget $100 for that, and those $100 left, you'll put it towards your debt. When you start budgeting, it's important that you create a list of your wants and your needs and that you learn the difference between these two. If you have this, you can start reducing unnecessary expenses, which will be most likely your wants. This way you'll have more money available to put towards your debt and pay it off. The fourth step is to save at least 1,000 as emergency fund, and you can have this as part of your budgeting. This suggestion is made by Dave Ramsey on his 7 baby steps for financial freedom. This emergency fund will help you to avoid getting more debt in case of an emergency. If you have more questions about emergency funds, you can check my video here. With all these steps, you can start paying off your debt. You can use any of the 2 different type of debt repayment methods, the snowball or the avalanche method. If you want to know more about debt repayment methods, you can check my video. Following these steps and adding some of your own, because everyone's finances is different, you will be debt free. The important thing comes, staying out of debt. So to achieve this, you could do these 2 things. The first is keep budgeting. Your budget might look different because there will be no more debt payments, and you can use that money towards increasing your emergency fund, which is the second thing. You could save more money, maximum 6 months of expenses, or even more if you like to. Not all for the video today. As I mentioned earlier, I have a guest today. Her name is Cyan, and I met her through Instagram. Passionate about finance just like me, and her mission is to help young adults to manage and save money to achieve financial freedom. We'll be discussing how has she managed to stay out of debt as a college student, which I believe is amazing and will motivate other students to stay out of debt as well. So please keep watching. Okay, Cyan, so as you have said, you are a college student, and I'm really interested on how have you stayed out of debt for this long. So could you let me know if you budget?
Yes, I do budget. It's something that I recently started doing, maybe roughly 2 years ago now, when I was a sophomore in college. So it's something that I pretty much do religiously now.
Nice. And do you start doing this like by yourself? Did you learn by yourself, or was it taught in a school? How did you start this habit of budgeting?
So unfortunately, I did not learn it in school. which I think is something that's definitely a failure in the US school system and education system. I learned it I honestly just got fed up living like paycheck to paycheck and not having a savings account. So I would go on YouTube actually and like watch other people talk about videos of how they created a budget and kind of curated my own budget from watching theirs.
Nice. And did you start, because you can do it on a notebook, you can do it on the computer using Excel or with a budgeting app, like which of these resources did you use?
So I'm very old school. I love pen and paper, and something I find really therapeutic is at the beginning of each month, just kind of looking at my finances and writing things down and making notes and goals for myself. I like to participate in savings challenges as well. But there are some really great apps. I would recommend You Need a Budget. I would also recommend Mint. They're
I
both.
use Mint app.
You use Mint? Oh,
Yes.
nice.
I believe if you do it like on an app, it will be easier to remember because, for
That makes
example,
sense.
Mint, they do remind you with
Oh,
notifications you
wow.
have go over your budget and so on. So I think that's pretty useful.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Yeah, I think that's a great idea too.
Okay, and do you have like a budget type? Because there's different type of budgets, such as the zero budget, 50, 30, 20 budget. Is there any budget that you use specifically or no?
So I kind of created my own budget, maybe called the fun budget almost. I like to leave myself a little bit of money. I actually made a video on just kind of how I created my budget, but I like to leave myself a little bit of like fun money, almost like $30 every 2 weeks, and that kind of keeps me going because I know that I like to associate like saving money with fun, almost like a little game. So yeah, I would say it kind of created my own budget.
That's good because a lot of people think that budgeting will make you miserable, like you will not be able to go out or party. But I'm doing the same as you. I do use the zero budget strategy because I'm still trying to pay off my student loan. However, I have a space in my budget for entertainment and going out. So
Nice.
budgeting is not as bad as people think. It will actually help you towards your goals,
Yeah, I completely
such as
agree.
paying credit card debt. So I know that you're a student from a top Ivy League school,
Thank
and
you.
I would like to know, with tuition costs being so high, how have you managed to stay out of debt?
Yes, tuition cost is extremely high. And I think I've been fortunate enough in a really weird, unfortunate situation, but I've been fortunate enough to, I guess, be seen as like low income in the eyes of Brown University. And so while I didn't get my freshman year and sophomore year tuition covered in full, I did my junior and senior year. So I think that definitely has helped. And the student loan debt that I do have is from freshman and sophomore year. But I think it's really advocating for yourself, A, because the way in which like my financial situation, I had to make it very apparent to my university. So that was one thing I did. And two, I work an on-campus job. I worked three at one point just to make sure I had money to buy groceries or to do whatever I had to do. And then from there, I just made like little savings challenges almost. So I kind of made the idea of budgeting into a game. And then I just set goals for myself along the way because I really love the feeling of making a goal and hitting it and then kind of moving on to make another goal.
That's great. I mean, working three jobs must be really hard while studying, but we do have to make some sacrifices now that we're young to have
Mm,
a better financial future.
yes.
So one thing is like, when you're in college, you are presented to the financial world, and that usually happens through credit cards. So how do you manage your credit cards? Like, do you use a lot of your credit card money, or how do you handle this?
So I make sure, so first and foremost, I was not a credit, uh, I didn't know much about credit at all. Even my parents don't use credit cards. And it really was up to me to kind of go out and like do the research. So I definitely learned from other people who have, or experts, I would say, in credit, and they've been using credit cards for a really long time responsibly. And so I watched videos about how to use it responsibly. And I also watched videos where people talked about how they got into credit card debt. And I watched it so I knew what not to do. But also with that said, I know that there are cases where people, like, sometimes you just have to use a credit card, like you have to. But for me, what I try to do is keep my utilization rate pretty low, which means of my credit line, I only use a pretty small portion of it. And I do that simple ways. I have a recurring payment, which is I put my Spotify, which is like a $5 payment. Most likely will have $5 in my account each month. And then also I'll use my credit card for things such as groceries. So anything that is necessary and I'm going to spend money on, I'll use my credit card for. If it's a fun purchase, I will not use my credit card for it. I'll buy that on my debit card or pay in cash or something.
That's great. I usually do the same as you. Like if I use credit cards a lot. I have 5 different type of credit cards that I have opened due to different circumstances. However, right now, every time that I spend with my credit card, I make sure that I have the cash available to pay it off immediately. So that is something that will help you stay out of debt, and it's really important to know this because if not, you'll be suffering all your life with this.
Completely agree.
Great. So it's really good to know that at your age you know about your personal finance, and that you are motivating other people to do the same. Can you give us a quick 2 or 3 tips of how to stay out of debt while in college?
Sure. I think that you kind of have to find your why. I kind of equate your why to your goal. Why are you doing what you're doing? For me, it's because I have seen what it's like growing up to live paycheck to paycheck and just not have enough money. And I don't want to be in that position, and I don't want my kids to have to be in that position. So that's really my driving factor. And then the other two, or the other thing I would say, is just to make it a game and to, always know what you're doing is making you happy and you're comfortable with what you're doing. And lastly, I would say that budgeting is not, it's not a box.
Yes.
There's so many different ways to budget. You could listen to one person, they say something, and you listen to something else. So also never let anybody tell you that the way in which, like, you're spending money is not good or bad.
Yeah, that's right.
Just always know that what's important to you, it might not be important to someone else. And whatever you're doing, like, just know what you're doing and know what goal you have and you're working towards it. And I think that everybody will reach this financial freedom journey that we're all on.
Yes, that's the goal, to be financially independent, and for me it's like retire early. Because I don't want to be working all my life.
No, exactly. No.
Hey,
Exactly.
I really enjoyed this conversation with you, Cyan.
Yeah.
If you want to follow Cyan, please visit her YouTube channel. There's a lot of content for college students, and if you want to learn personal finance, it's a great place to go.
Thank you so much.
No problem. We'll be making more collabs, so
Yes.
really happy to have you here.
Thank you, Natalie.
Everything for today's video. I hope you like it. Big thanks to my friend Cyan for joining me, and do not forget to follow her on her social media. I will leave you all the links on the description box. Her YouTube has amazing financial content, so please go visit. That's everything for today's video. I hope you like it and learn how to pay off your debt and stay out of debt. And please share this video with your family and friends so that they can learn as well. As you know, if you have any questions, you know where to find me on my social media. Also subscribe for more videos here, and give it a big thumbs up if you like this video. Really happy because my Instagram page is growing and I am connecting with more people who are passionate about finance as well. So please keep sharing and supporting. See you on the next video. Bye.